The separation glyph destabilizes, a rigid geometry unspooling into motion. Sigils twist, lines unravel. The whole construct vibrates like a trapped storm, edges blurring toward collapse. Vistral's eyes widen not with fury, but with a raw, new uncertainty. Emsky hangs between forms, voice split and layered, two echoes breathing from one throat. A distorted entity vocalizes, staccato and panicked. So show, you destroy the host, you destroy us. The syllables shudder through the chamber, the air feels thin and electric. Vistral exhales, a strained whisper. No, hold, why isn't it stabilizing? He reaches toward the lattice, his fingers twitch, trying to coax the sigils back into ordered geometry. The construct resists like a wounded animal, snapping against his will. Hands work with frantic precision. Commands falter as the glyph fights back. Stop fighting me! This should work, he shouts, losing composure. Purple arcs crawl across the pattern and lash along his arms. He flinches, a tiny, human recoil that cracks something fragile in the room. From broken light, Super A drags himself up, battered but lucid. He looks at Vistral and sees something no one had named before. Fear. You can't hold it. You're afraid, he says, soft and shocked. The words land like a stone. Vistral whips his head toward him, fury braided with panic. Shut up, I'm not, he snarls. But the edges of his voice fray. Emsky's twin silhouettes stretch too far, pulled like tattered banners on distant masts. His mouth opens in a silent, widening cry as diagnostic script flashes through the air. Host stability. Failed. Termination imminent. Vistral lunges, pleading through clenched teeth. No, come on, hold together. For the first time he begs, raw and small, as the sigil trembles toward oblivion. Everything waits on a brittle filament of will. He returns on a breath. Super A holds him like a raft in a storm. For a long second the room is only the rise and fall of a chest and the hush after an explosion. Then his eyes snap open with a sharp inhale. Emsky says, small and hoarse, "A?" The irises glitch a brief flare, a burned sigil like a ghost behind his pupils. Super A steadies him, voice gentle and afraid. Easy, buddy. You're back." Emsky sits up too smoothly, as if some invisible hand guided his balance. He blinks once, and when his eyes reopen they track something only he can see. Wisps of fragmented sigils orbit him, slow as sediment, bright as broken glass, quiet, confused. There's noise. Everything's loud. Super A's tone tightens. "Emsky, look at me. Just me." From the rubble, Vistral drags himself upright, bleeding and shocked. His face drains when he sees the runes drifting. "No," he whispers. "No, he shouldn't be able to perceive residue. Not without..." His hands tremble, and he stops himself. Emsky raises a hand as if answering a distant pulse. Threads of pale light weave from his fingertips, trying to stitch themselves into a glyph. It begins, then stutters not whole, but attempting shape. "Something's calling me," he murmurs. Super A's reply is sharp, terrified. Hey, Emsky, don't." A flash in his eye. A silhouette layered inside the reflection, not quite gone. A voice layered inside his words. Host integrity restored, reconnection possible. Emsky grips his temples as if two thoughts speak at once. "Make it stop. Please make it." The room holds its breath. Whatever woke with him is listening back. A hum rose in the cramped lab, a long, low note that made the glass tremble and the bones of the room vibrate. Emsky clutched his head, body shaking as a thin ring of sigil light pulsed once around him like a sonar ping. The sound hit, a single whoom, and Super A winced, feeling it down to his marrow. Machines on the floor answered first. Cables and loose metal quivered and skittered toward Emsky. Dust motes lifted, tracing spirals that echoed glyph geometry. As if the air itself had learned an alphabet of light. Emsky did not seem to see it. His breath fell into the pulse, slow and obedient. Super A watched in dawning terror. Vistral pushed to his feet, face drained, eyes hard with bitter recognition. He looked at Emsky as if reading a doom across his skin. "The entity left an anchor in him," Vistral said, voice low and flat. Super A spun. "What does that mean?" he demanded. Vistral did not look away. It means he's not just linked, he's receiving. A faint whisper curled like static at Emsky's ear. Half language, half machine, host, signal, reconnect. His hands twitched, making half-formed sigil gestures his mind could not follow. I can't shut it out, he whispered, voice thin. Super A grabbed his shoulders, forcing his eyes to meet the boy's. Listen to me. You're not just hearing it, you're channeling it. There was a break in his voice, raw. You're becoming a conduit. Emsky's breath hitched. No, I don't want this. A sudden ripple of light burst from his chest, a wave that cracked the floor and sent the three of them tumbling back. Light spasmed around Emsky as he hovered inches above the fractured floor. He hung, fingers curling into unfamiliar angles, joints protesting like brittle wires. His voice ripped out, strangled and small. I can't. It's too much. Sigils flared across his forearms, burning in blue-white glyphs that crawled like sparks. Then the chest eruption. A jagged ring of energy blasted outward, cracking stone and peeling paint. The blast hurled Super A backward into rubble. Vistral snapped a hand to his face as wind pressure tore at his coat. Walls bowed as gravity was yanked sideways. Voices shouted over the roar. Emsky, stop! You have to stop! Close on Emsky, tears steamed where they touched the charged air. His eyes were elsewhere, tracking impossible geometry, watching another dimension bleed through. A layered, warped voice threaded the air. Signal output exceeded. Host fracture correction protocol. He jerked as if strings inside him pulled. I'm not your host, he screamed. A raw defiance that cracked the room. A second flare swelled, sharper and crueler. Instead of expanding, it imploded, sucking breath and debris inward. Books, glass, and fragments answered its hunger. Spiderweb cracks racing toward the center like veins. Vistral shouted through panic. He's breaching the conduit threshold. He'll tear himself apart. Super A, bleeding and shaking, forced his way against the pull, bracing his boots, fingers digging into fractured stone. He shouted with ragged resolve, Emsky, look at me! Look at me! Emsky flickered, phasing between states, caught between a human core and whatever pulsed behind his eyes. The room held on a knife edge as fate waited for his next breath. Super A staggers through the pull of an imploding conduit, every muscle screaming as he advances. Blood beads and darkens along fresh cuts. Sweat and dust streak his face. Ahead of him, Emsky is a living storm. Sigils writhed across his skin, threads of light spiraling inward toward a single hungry point. The floor buckles and splits under the strain, concrete folding like paper. Super A forces his boots deeper, each step a promise. He reaches out a hand thrust into something alive and burning, fingers skimming the surface of raw, liquid flame. It trembles against his skin, hot and humming, but he braces and does not let go. Focus, Emsky, he says, voice ragged but steady. Focus on me. The words cut through the roar. The sigils lash outward like angry vines, trying to tear the contact apart. Super A grips harder, wrist locked, body a brace against the pull. You're not alone. You're not alone, Emsky. I'm here. We're here. Emsky's eyes flash with panic. Then, with something like recognition, a shiver of memory anchoring him. Their fingers close together. At the instant of contact, the light hiccups. The implosion loses a bit of its certainty. The inward rush shudders. For the first time, the conduit seems unsure of itself. Emsky whispers, small and frightened. I can't. I'm not strong enough. Super A answers, voice granite and soft both. Yes, you are. You're not doing this alone. I'm not leaving you behind. He pulls Emsky closer until their foreheads almost touch. Up close, he can see the tremor in Emsky's breath, the war in his eyes, and beneath it the first fragile outline of control returning. You've got this. We've got this. Let me help you, Super A says. Emsky falters, feeling power reshaping him. Fear receding enough for a single, steadying inhale. Silence sits heavy in the chamber after the glyph exploded and died away. Close on Emsky's face, pale. Drawn, his eyes still flicker with the last thread of sigil light, pulsing faintly with each breath. He looks awake, but not whole. He searches himself with a frightened stare and finds only questions. Emsky, quiet, shaking. I don't know what's happening to me. Super A stands a careful step away, arms loose, trying to give space while offering steadiness. The air between them hums with leftover power and worry. Super, a soft, steady. You're still you, Emsky. The sigils, they're gone now. You're safe. His words are meant to anchor, but Emsky's eyes betray a brittle doubt. He looks down at his own hand. It trembles, fingers twitching as if resisting an invisible pull. Beneath the skin, a faint glow pulses like a reluctant heartbeat. Emsky, under his breath. I can feel it. It's still there. Breath quickens. Panic flickers at the edges. Super A reaches, steady and calm, trying to hold him to the present. Super A. Emsky, you're okay. You're in control. Trust feels thin. Steps fall into the room. Vistral approaches, quiet and measured. But his gait carries a new hesitancy. He studies Emsky with a sharp, dangerous awareness, not smugness. Vistral, soft, measured. The glyph might be gone, but what it left behind is still in you. You won't be able to ignore it for long. It's changing you, Emsky. Emsky's gaze snaps to him, wide and frightened. Emsky, whispered broken. I don't want it to change me. I don't want it to take me. Vistral watches, unreadable for a moment. Then something almost like softness collapses the edge of his face. Vistral, you'll have to learn how to control it. It's inside you now, whether you like it or not. The last embers of sigil light gutter out, leaving a fragile pause. Fear, a question of trust, and the first faint choice to learn control or be claimed. Emsky's head drops. His breath is ragged as he rubs his hands over his face, trying to block out the swirling thoughts. The sigil light beneath his skin pulses with his heartbeat, a glow that makes him flinch. He whispers, panic. What if I can't? What if I lose myself? The words scatter in the vaulted space. His eyes search for an anchor and find Super A. Super A kneels and reaches out, not to take control, but to offer steady presence. We'll figure it out, Emsky, Super A says, firm and kind. I promise you're not alone in this. The gravity inside Emsky presses at his chest. He rubs at the faint burn of the sigil under his skin as if to soothe it. Fear makes him small. Vistral stands apart on the rubble, watching with cold caution. His voice is a warning. You'll need to be careful. If the sigils in you destabilize again, it won't just be your life at risk. It will be everyone's. You might trigger something you can't control. Emsky's eyes go wide. What are you saying? That I could destroy everything? Vistral's tone is measured. Not everything, but everything around you. Silence settles. Super A's face holds empathy and a hard edge forged by hard choices. Emsky swallows. What if I can't stop it? What if I become like it? Super A steadies his shoulder. You're not like it, Emsky. You will stop it. We'll stop it together. Emsky looks down at the broken floor, where the glyph is burned into stone like a scar. He does not look at his friends. He studies the wound, the gap between promise and fear.